This is the first page we will build for Vehicles United. The first thing is your site is defined. So in the files panel, we can see the 1076 Vehicles United is there. In future, if you restart your computer or you reopen Dreamweaver, just make sure you quickly go to Site, Manage Sites, and see whether your site appears in the list. For me, it's fine, but most probably for students' computers, other students might by mistake delete or remove sites. So just quickly have a look. If it is not there, quickly define your new site. It shouldn't take long, but make sure it always stays there. Okay. Right. First page I will create. So I'm just gonna give a title to my web page. So I'll just write Vehicles United homepage. Enter to apply, and from this box you can see the codings are changing slowly. Okay, I'm in design view, which is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Now here, the first things we are going to add is the wrapper div. Okay, so to add divs and to style them, we go to the inserts common menu, and under the common there is option to insert div tag here. Okay, as long as your cursor is in design view, you just click on insert div tag, and this is more or less story of Dreamweaver. Every time you click, it just gives you a pop-up window which will ask you certain options, right? Now those options means, in a way, it will use those values which you type to add them as an attribute of HTML tag. So when you click on the inserts, it will pick the HTML tag, but with these options, we can feed a lot of attributes to your tags as well. So you can give as many attributes you want. In this scenario, we clicked on insert div tag, so it is going to give me a div tag. But for the div tag, I can give ID or a class as my attribute. So I can simply click inside the ID, and I will type wrapper as my ID, and I can say OK. Virtually in design view, it shows you a dotted line area, which is the actual area of your div. And by default, Dreamweaver adds some basic contents for you, which is contents for ID wrapper goes here. Now that's a default text which Dreamweaver adds. Normally for our wrappers and all, we don't need any text. So if you want, you can simply select it and even delete. It's fine. Okay. Now that's my wrapper. If you want, you can check split view. I'll show you so you can see parallelly. You see that in the body, div tag has actually added the wrapper. Right, so that's the div ID wrapper, and that's a closing pair. Now, sometimes if your cursor in the design view mess around and you don't know where the Dreamweaver will going to add its content, then code view is the best. Because then what you can do is, in a code view, you make sure your cursor is clicked between the opening and the closing of the div tag. And then if you add anything, it will automatically go between the contents. So especially for the divs, when you're doing the nested divs or when you're adding contents in the div, I like to use code view, because that way you don't make any mistake in terms of nesting or adding contents to your page. So this is my wrapper. Now if I want, I can still stay in the design view. You can see the cursor goes automatically in. Now to style this div, I'm going to take the help of this tag selector. Okay, now this is also quite an important step. Most of the time when I use design view, instead of selecting things from design view, I would rather click on tag selector. So when I click here to the tag selector div hash wrapper, it automatically selects my content. But by selecting tag selector, the second advantage is you can go to the CSS styles panel, which is on the right. So I can just double click and open and close it. So when I open CSS styles panel, This is where we do the styling. Again, you don't have to go to the code view. In CSS styles panel, there are options here at the bottom to delete, edit, add new, and the chain icon is to attach external CSS files. Right now there's no CSS, so what we're going to do is we are going to add the new CSS rule. Okay, so if I click on new CSS rule, if you have too many things, Dreamweaver will not know what are you want to style in right now. So you will have to type yourself which is your selector and what is the type of the selector. But in the event, if you have wrapper selected, and then if I'll go to the new rule, it by default selects that this selector type is an ID, the selector name is hash wrapper, and where you want to define, so you can say either define it in this document only or save it as the new style sheet file. So if I'll keep this document, what will happen? The new CSS rules will be added only for this particular page. And what type of selector styling is that? Internal CSS? What is the correct word for that? Embedded, right? We have inline CSS, embedded CSS, and external CSS. So if you select this document only, it will actually apply those CSS as an embedded CSS document or embedded CSS rules. Okay, but if you want it to be an external, just select new CSS for a while, keep everything as it is, and then I can just select OK. It will ask me what should be the new CSS file name. I'm just say vehicles United style sheet. It will take .css on its own. That's the correct folder. Just say save. Okay. And again, immediate things to notice here. The moment we apply that in the CSS panel, you will see the new selector will be reflected like that under the tree of the file name, which is vehicles united dash style sheet, which is the external file. Means it creates a new style sheet file, it links that file also automatically, and under that file it starts styling the wrapper. So again, you don't have to do any physical work. Right, now what you see here in front of you is the CSS rules window. Up to hand codings, you have to remember all those properties, line dash height, background dash color, and all of those things. Dreamweaver gives you all those CSS properties by putting them in a set of categories, and in the right hand side it actually shows you different property and their values. It means you don't have to remember at all a single property name. Okay, now for wrapper, normally what kind of styling we apply? For wrapper, width, margins, so that we can align it to the center, borders, colors, whatever you want. So if I want, I can go to the box category, I can select width, let's say 900, height, just for time being, 500. By apply, I can even check it. How does it look? So it shows me. If I want, you can go to the background and you can select color. It applies and shows you. Yeah, I can select it white. I can go back to the box category. You get the width, height, paddings, and margins all under box. Even a float. is under the box category. And by apply, you can just test it. Now, if you want to align center, what properties do we use? Left and right margin auto. Here, under the box category, margins are enabled same for all. Okay, so if I can uncheck that, I can say right should be auto, left should be auto, apply, and your div goes in the center. No hand code. You can go to the border. It selects top, right, bottom, left borders. If you want all sides should be same styling, then simply select what style you want, dotted, dashed, whichever style you like. Width, thin, medium, thick, or you can simply write pixel values and color of the border. You can select. Apply, OK, and you can see the div has been added. Now once you say OK, the properties will be applied to the ID. Okay, but if you want to edit any property, your selector is still there in your CSS styles panel. So you simply double click on it and you will see all the existing properties there as it is. You can go and change those properties to whatever you want. That's how simple it is to use styling also through Dreamweaver. One more thing, the way it selects the divs, I can even click on the body as a tag selector from my design view. Go to the new rule. Body, what type of selector body is? Is it a class, ID? What is a body? You can see what type of selector from this list. Body is just a tag, isn't it? Body itself is a tag, it's not an ID. So you simply select tag, it will select the name of the tag automatic. If not, you can browse this and select the list of any HTML tag you want to style, as long as it stays in, it has in the body of the page. So I can select the body, tag as a selector. I want to define it in the same style sheet, so I'm not going to change anything here. Right? Say OK, and the same window appears again. So learning CSS is quite easier in Dreamweaver, because every time you're going to work and style, the same block comes next to you, and you just go through the categories to style it. For body, if I want, I can go to background, change the color of the body. If you want, you can go to the background, browse, assets. There's a background image there. Apply, and you can see this is how it looks. Yep. If you want to repeat background, just do repeat. If you want to repeat only on the x-axis, so it's same the way we used to type these values. Now they are listed in groups, drop-down menus, and just given a box to write down. So they're making your life more comfortable and easier to work with CSS. Okay, I'm just gonna keep some of this. Say OK. Save this file as index.html. Will take it. Go to the preview option, which is this globe icon. Preview in a browser. There you go. Very simple. Added a div using tag selector, select it, and then apply CSS to it. Before I finish, let me add one more thing into it. So I'm going to Dreamweaver again. This time, my cursor is inside the wrapper. Okay. Now in the wrapper, from the inserts menu, I'm going to add another div. So I'm going to click insert div tag. This time the ID of the div is header. Okay. Just say okay. By default, it occupies space there. For a header, I can select the text, delete the text, and instead of the text, I can go to the again inserts panel, and from the list we can select insert image, which is the option there. All right. If I click on it, it simply asks, it jumps to the folder of assets. Now all these things happens not automatic. It directly jumps to your folder because you have defined the site. If you don't define, you're gonna have problems. But you see now how the process is so quick, just because we have defined it correctly. Right, I'm just going to select here logo file. Okay, that's my VU logo. Done. My logo is 770, so I'm gonna quickly go to the wrapper. Double click wrapper, box category, change the width 770. Apply. Okay. Control S to save. F12. Check. Site is there. Okay. So modify contents, add contents, style the contents. The process will be a lot quicker now. Carry on at least up to this stage using divs, styling, and adding first image.